I'm not going to ignore, nor am I going to take my eyes off of what transpires with the WNBA over the next 2 weeks while Caitlin Clark is out with the quad strain.
How does the WNBA go from record-breaking ratings to a complete ratings apocalypse practically overnight? Last week, 17,000 fans packed the stadium for Caitlin Clark. This week, entire sections sit empty. Caitlin Clark's injury isn't just a setback for her, it exposes everything the league is doing wrong, and Stephen A. Smith is calling it out loud. And clear, stick around to uncover how bad this fallout gets.
The Indiana Fever announced that star Caitlin Clark will be out at least 2 weeks with a left quad strain. Clark reported some pain in her leg Saturday after the team's loss to the New York Liberty. She subsequently underwent an MRI and was diagnosed with the strain on Monday.
Caitlin Clark wasn't just a player, she was the WNBA's lifeline, a rookie dragging ratings to places the league had only dreamed of, filling packed arenas night after night and turning merchandise into gold. 6 different networks hit new viewership highs because of her game's numbers that were unheard of in the history of women's basketball suddenly became normal. But here's the problem: while Clark was elevating the league's status, the league was doing shockingly little to elevate or even protect her in return.
It's no fault of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark balls. She balled at Iowa in college. She's balled since she's been in the NBA. She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did her thing. Ended up as an all-star, ended up being 4th in the league in MVP voting.
Night after night, Clark found herself targeted on the court. Hard fouls, elbows, and physical play that pushed the boundaries of what's acceptable in a professional game were thrown her way repeatedly, yet the referees silent, the league nowhere to be found. It became so blatant that Stephen A. Smith didn't just call it out, he straight up torched the WNBA for what he saw as systemic negligence.
It's understandable, but it's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about what she represents. My point is, grow up. Who cares? If you're Magic and Bird, that didn't stop Jordan from coming along and doing what he did.
When a league lets its most valuable player get slammed, hacked, elbowed, and borderline assaulted every night with no consequences, that's not an accident, that's negligence, Smith said. How do you let the player single-handedly saving the league get treated like that? This wasn't just about gameplay, though there was something deeper brewing, an undercurrent that Stephen A. also touched.
I'm not going to go to word hate. I'm not going to be out there like RG3 was saying that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark or other players hate Caitlin Clark. But I will say this. I don't think it's specific about Caitlin Clark. I think it's what Caitlin Clark represents.
Some veterans and league officials couldn't hide their jealousy of Clark's meteoric rise. You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm, and they resented it. Stephen A. noted resentment. An ugly word, but when someone triples attendance numbers and becomes the face of a sport overnight, the attention doesn't always sit well with those who've been grinding for years in relative obscurity.
We know what she brings to the table, but people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm, and they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had.
That resentment wasn't just whispers in locker rooms either. You could feel it during games. The rough treatment she faced didn't seem random. It felt targeted. A hard foul here, a sneaky elbow there, all while the officials swallowed their whistles. The league should have been stepping in with better oversight, making it crystal clear that intentionally rough play wouldn't be tolerated, especially against a player generating this much excitement and revenue.
They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because of this girl. Instead, they resented it because they said, yo, we were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here, and y'all wasn't paying attention then. But now the young white girl comes along and y'all want to sit up there and shower all of this praise and all of this attention that was earned before she ever came along.
It's no wonder Stephen A. called the league's actions brand malpractice. And what's especially frustrating, Clark wasn't just shining as a player, she was doing the league's job for them by making women's basketball cool again. Fans weren't coming for the WNBA, they were coming for Clark. Entire stadiums were electric.
I could give a damn about that last part. I don't care about her leading the league in assists. I don't care about the points that she's averaging because I already know that the young lady can ball. She is special.
People who had never even given the league a second thought suddenly couldn't get enough. Her rookie season didn't just produce numbers, it built a movement. And how did the WNBA repay her? By letting her get beat up on the court, forcing her to put her health on the line, and pretending this was all norma.
Increased physicality that Caitlin Clark has been dealing with, it's been going on for over a year now. Why in the hell has Kathy Engelbert not stepped in and done something about it? Over the weekend,
this wasn't just a mistake, it was an act of self-sabotage. Clark wasn't just having a great season, she was making history, and now that's on pause because of an injury that many argue could have been avoided if the WNBA had actually stepped up to protect her. This wasn't just bad luck, it's the result of a system prioritizing well what exactly, because it clearly wasn't Clark. This just another player treatment has put the entire league in jeopardy.
Now we get to turn around and look and see what exactly is it that the league will do, knowing that she's out for the next 2 weeks. I'm not saying I know for sure what's going to happen, but I have an idea. We shall see. We'll definitely be watching.
The real tragedy here isn't just Clark's injury, it's how avoidable it all feels. There's no question her rise was a lifeline for the WNBA, but it's a lifeline the league didn't seem ready for or willing to hold on to. And now the ripple effects are everywhere, from empty arenas to free-falling ratings. This mess isn't just about Caitlin Clark anymore, it's about the chaos her absence has.
now they have to rely on themselves to draw an audience. With the current CBA expiring and negotiations for increased minimum wage salaries beginning, this injury to Caitlin Clark, it could not have happened at a worse time for the players who hate her.
When Caitlin Clark hit the roster, the WNBA experienced something it had never seen before. Relevance. Her games became appointment television, drawing in more than one. 17 million viewers at their peak for a league used to scraping by with modest numbers. This was uncharted territory. But now, without her, that number collapsed to just 394,000. Let that sink in. 17 million to 394,000.
Guys, today the WNBA without Caitlin Clark remains an attraction that not many people want to watch.
That's not just a dip, it's a crisis. This isn't about casual viewers losing interest. It's about the entire structure of the league buckling under the weight of one player's absence. And it's not just the TV ratings. The Indiana Fever, for example, went from selling tickets hand over fist to slashing prices in half. And that's still not enough to fill the seats. Entire sections of their arena, which were buzzing with energy before, are now ghost towns.
Now, I'm not asking you to compete with the Indiana Fever, because we know nothing in this league can compete when Caitlin Clark is playing for the Indiana Fever. Nothing in this league measures up to that.
We're not talking about minor changes here. This is a full-blown disappearance of fans, you could argue, while losing a star always impacts attendance. But to this degree, it's unheard of. We've never seen one player's absence create this kind of domino effect in professional sports.
The WNBA's got a real ratings problem, okay? The ratings came out for the Indiana Fever without Caitlin Clark game. I saw some people actually trying to spin this as a positive, and I was like, they're like 235,000 viewers. How is that a positive?
Think about it. Networks that celebrated record highs last season during Clark's rookie year are suddenly scrambling to keep any sort of audience. Those high-definition replays that highlighted her insane three-point range, the clips running wild on social media, gone. Instead, they're desperately trying to drum up excitement around matchups that fans just aren't tuning in for.
They've gone down. Since 2023, folks, they have gotten down in viewership. Caitlin Clark skews that number for last year because millions of people tuned in. But as far as non-Caitlin Clark games, the numbers have been still going downward.
This is bigger than just Clark being out due to injury. What you're seeing is a league exposed for being far too dependent on her. It's like building a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. She goes down, and the whole operation starts sinking.
People would tune in. It's the casual viewers that make all this work, not the hardcore fans. It's the casual viewers that are pulling in these big ratings. Oh, Caitlin Clark's playing, the casual is going to tune in. In my opinion, the WNBA still has a major problem with the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark still looking like the only draw. In my opinion, these ratings are pathetic, and the leagues to change the rules to make the game more enjoyable.
There's also this intangible element to all of this, a kind of why bother attitude creeping in with fans. When you have someone like Clark on the court, it's not just about her stats or her highlights, it's about the feeling she brought to the game her matches weren't. Just games, they were events people circle dates on their calendars. Tickets became something you had to grab fast, or miss out. Her absence doesn't just bring down the numbers, it deflates the energy entirely.
Fever Mystics WNBA game averaged 357,000 viewers on NBA TV. That was without Caitlin Clark. But that's still way off. I mean, the previous NBA TV game against the Dream averaged 581,000 with Caitlin Clark playing.
But here's the other side. How did the WNBA let this happen? Everyone could see how much the league revolved around Clark, but there seemed to be no contingency plan for moments like this. Her injury didn't just expose the league's over-reliance on her, it raised questions about how fragile their entire setup really is. Build momentum around one player and no backup plan. Risey doesn't even begin to cover.
And if this team plays like it played last night, the WNBA's got a serious problem. Okay? Because let's say you were still keeping some casual viewers, you will lose them if they believe this team is not good.
This isn't just a ratings collapse, it's a mirror reflecting the gaps in leadership and foresight for the WNBA. The numbers don't lie, and the league's vulnerability is out there for everyone to see. The ripple effects of Clark's injury just keep expanding, but that begs the question, how could they let their biggest asset be treated like an afterthought?
Unfortunately, though, the celebration in the WNBA, it was cut short yesterday afternoon as WNBA players learned the harsh lesson, be careful what you wish for.
Let's talk leadership, because this mess didn't happen by accident, it happened by design. Stephen A. Smith didn't mince words this time. A masterclass in league mismanagement, that's how he described the WNBA's handling of Caitlin Clark, and honestly, it's hard to argue. He went straight for the league's leadership, calling out Commissioner Kathy Angelbert for her failure to prioritize Clark's safety and, by extension, the league's future.
The matter is that it has to start somewhere. And if it starts somewhere, a rising tide lifts all boats. You jump on that tide, you jump on that boat, and elevate and use them to elevate your play or to elevate the attention you garner. It's very simple, but people didn't want.
According to him, Clark wasn't being treated like the generational star she clearly is. Instead, the league took her rise for granted, acting as if players with her marketability come along every day. Spoiler, they don't. Smith was just warming up, though. He fired off on the physical play Clark endured all season, likening it to something you'd see in an NFL highlight reel, a startling exaggeration that lands when you realize how little action the WNBA took to address the hits Clark was absorbing.
6 different league television partners. This is last year. This is last season, because this is the Caitlin Clark that we're talking about. 6 different league television partners set viewership records this year, that year, her rookie year, for its highest viewed WNBA.
Protect her, he said, plainly pointing out how obvious the solution should have been. Clark wasn't just a rookie sensation. She was the primary reason thousands of people were tuning in to watch the WNBA for the first time yet. Instead of acknowledging that, instead of setting the tone with stricter fouls or better officiating, they let her take elbows and hard fouls game after game. It wasn't just negligent, it was reckless.